Welcome back. You're watching NewsX. My name is Vineet. As India gears up for Russian President Vladimir Putin's official visit on 4th and 5th December for the 23rd India-Russia annual visit, there is a lot that the two countries have to talk about. This will be President Putin's first visit to India after the war with Ukraine broke out, making the sojourn even more significant. While there are, I beg your pardon, multiple agendas that could be on the table, the ones that rank high on the list of priorities is the matter of buying Russian jets and air defense systems, including SU-57 fighters and S-500 air defense systems. The Sukhoi SU-57 is Russia's fifth-generation stealth multi-role fighter designed for air superiority, deep strikes and electronic warfare. It features low observable stealth, I beg your pardon, super maneuverability with 3D thrust, vectoring super cruise above Mach 1.3 without afterburners, and an advanced sensor suite including the Bayalka ISA radar. It is armed with the 30 mm cannon and up to 10 tons of weapons. In fact, it can deploy long-range missiles like the R-37 and hypersonic KH-47M2 Kinzhal. So how a potential SU-57 deal will strengthen the armed forces, and how is going to India navigate this relationship with Russia, considering that the Americans are breathing down our neck when it comes to sanctions and dealing with Russia? Joining us on the program is Group Captain M.J. Augustine Vinod, former Indian Air Force officer, fighter jet pilot of the MiG-21. Group Captain U.K. Devnath, former Indian Air Force officer, is also with us on the program. Wing Commander S. Sudhakaran, former Indian Air Force officer, joins us on the show. And last but not the least, Dr. Martan Jha, contributing editor of NewsX, also with us on the program. All right, Group Captain Augustine Vinod, I'll begin with you. Well, the specifics of this deal have already been read out, and I also put out that point that India, despite what the Americans think, is not wary of dealing with Russia, whether it's buying weaponry or is it buying jets. We maintain a very healthy relationship with Russia, and we will continue to do so. All that talk about no buying of oil by the American president is something which India has not corroborated. But in the sense of the overall relationship, how crucial is this visit by Vladimir Putin to India?
Extremely crucial, and Vineet, thank you for having me over for this an extremely important topic that we are discussing today. It's all the three aeroplanes are not, Vineet, upfront apples to apples comparison, for simple reason. If you look at the super maneuverability and the super cruise capability of Su-57, there is no match in the world. So aerodynamically, if you ask me, Su-57 is an extremely capable aeroplane as opposed to F-35 or even Rafale. Rafale, in fact, doesn't fall in that category in terms of both the generation numbers don't match up, and Rafale is a low observable aircraft, all right, but it is still not in this quote-unquote sense a stealth aeroplane. So, but if you compare the overall capability, and we in the Air Force give importance to multiple verticals before we decide on a particular fighter, which includes the radar, of which you mentioned, the radar that is going to come with Su-57, and also the weapons suite, electronic warfare suite, which includes electronic self-protection jammer, we call it the ESPJ, offensive jammers, which is what underslang you carry to offensively jam enemy radar, enemy aeroplanes, as well as other self-protection suites like chaff and flare dispenser. How that marries up with the entire scheme of things, that is something called the missile approach warning system, when automatically the MAWS, as we call it, the MAWS detects an incoming missile and dispenses the chaff and flare. All this go towards survivability of the fighter and how it performs in the battle. So when you give importance or a number to these verticals, then you arrive at a particular number that now is sort of the driver when it comes to the aeroplane that we select. But be that as it may, Vineet, what is very, very important for us to understand is Russians have offered us a complete technology transfer of Sukhoi 57, which to me is music to my ears for simple reason. It is like AMCA on steroids. So our AMCA program can sort of, piggyback on this program, and we add our electronic suites, which are as good, if not better in certain areas, when you compare with Rafale or an F-35. Of course, an F-35 is in terms of net-centric warfare, as we call it, in the networked environment, heads and shoulders above many fighters in the world. Though F-35 suffered many crashes because it's a single-engine fighter, and that is the only stealth fighter offered to the rest of the world to be bought. US is not selling you F-22. So all this put together, it's an extremely important visit, an extremely important deal if it falls on the paper at the price that we want. Over to you, Vineet.
Or at the price that we want. That's a good tail off to your comment as well. Group Captain UK Devnath, your thoughts on this important visit? Its stealth technology, the super maneuverability, the super cruise capability, avionics and sensors all make the SU-57 a game changer. How important and pertinent can this be for India's deterrence and defense?
Vineet, other than technical parameters as already covered, very important factor will be the political repercussions of purchasing a Russian or an American stealth 5th generation fighter aircraft. What happens when we purchase any American equipment? We will definitely like to believe that USA will continue to supply the spare parts and other critical components uninterrupted for next 40-50 years. Will that happen? That is a political question, and definitely Ministry of Defense will have to look at it. When we buy any Russian weapon system, one happy thing about Russian weapon systems is there are no fine prints, there are no behind the back small conditions. Russia gives us a weapon system, continues to give us a spare part support system without any political holding back. So I think it is a very important consideration. We should not forget what happened after 1998 nuclear blast. USA, Western countries, they stopped giving us spare parts for all the Western aircraft. I remember Seahawk fleet got grounded, Sea King helicopter fleet got grounded. Right now, USA is pressurizing India with additional 25% tariff. This can happen in future also if we continue to buy a weapon system, not only crude oil, but a weapon system from USA. Last time I remember USA had threatened us sanctions under CAATSA. So if we buy Sukhoi 57, then USA may again threaten us with use of a secret weapon called CAATSA. Definitely a bigger air headquarters point of view, from a technical point of view, will be very important, but it is a bigger political decision which Government of India will have to take. Yes, Vineet?
All right, it's a decision that the Government of India will have to take. Wing Commander Sudhakaran, the complete transfer of technology is also something that India, wants to prioritize in all these deals. What do you have to say?
So let's be practical. Su-57 is a necessary stopgap arrangement that I would say. In fact, though it is a very advanced fighter and like the MiG-21 served us for over 6 decades, I don't think Su-57 and the generation like the Rafale which we have right now will be relevant beyond the next decade, because there is a major technology transition that we are witnessing, and that we see it unfolding in the decade that is coming.
Why is Sukhoi 57 better than F-35?
So what I was trying to tell you is Su-57 is a necessary stopgap, not India's final destination. Right now, India faces a critical squadron shortfall and a rapidly evolving threat from the west, the north, and the seas. We cannot afford a decade-long capability vacuum, and that's why Su-57 will plug that gap quickly and decisively. It gives us stealth dominance, it gives us standoff strike reach with internal weapons, manned-unmanned teaming with autonomous loyal wingmen, concepts and technology transfer that strengthens India's own aerospace base. But these are not luxuries, they are survival necessities between 2025 and 2035 timeframe. And this is when the debate must evolve, and after the game changes completely. And why I'm saying this is, there is a cognitive revolution on the anvil. We talked about net centricity of warfare a couple of decades back, and we're still trying to believe that that is relevant, but net centricity is a given today. We are talking about intelligence-enabled warfare in which autonomous systems are going to increasingly dawn the sky. Once AGI hits its singularity thresholds, warfare won't be trust maneuverability or pilot G limits. It becomes cognition versus cognition, autonomy versus autonomy, an AI commander versus another AI commander. How good are you on the battlefield? You can't fight with a sword against a gun, and that's what will change when intelligence starts, commanding the cockpit. The future platform will be AGI designed as well. Not that the humans will go and design it, and it will be, in my opinion, totally pilot-free. Continuously updating itself, adapting mid-flight, and outthinking the enemy in millisecond regime. That's the kind of transition that we will see in the decade that comes. So in that realm, even the fifth generation jets, becomes very expensive for us to put on the air without getting much of results. So it's pre-singularity versus post-singularity warfare that we are talking about. So the bottom line that I'm trying to tell you is that we need SU-57 today because AGI isn't ready for tomorrow yet. But when AGI takes over design, command, and combat, it could happen any day. It could happen tomorrow, the next month, next year, or the next 5 years. But we can't, the problem with that particular technology is we can't start off after somebody achieves it, unlike the nuclear domain. We need to start right now, today. And therefore, I suggest 2 tracks, acquire SU-57 today. That's our best bet given the reliability what Russia has shown, but invest in an AGI-driven sovereign air power future, because that is where India will become unbeatable. SU-57 gives India air superiority today. AGI singularity gives India world superiority tomorrow. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Martin, how are you looking at Putin's visit? Of course, the defense experts and the notable panel has already pointed out the virtues attached with the technology as well as the hardware that India is seeking from Russia. But this visit is much beyond just optics and purchases.
Right. So I am looking at this meeting through the lens of defense diplomacy. The thing is that we have been seeing the tussle between India and US whenever India tries to cozy up to Russia, and India has very good reasons to cozy up to Russia because Russia has proven to be a very reliable friend since the days of the Cold War. I remember back in the 80s also when India tried to get some space technology from Russia. It was the US who had serious objections, and they did not let India enter into the MTCR regime, the missile technology control regime. I am looking at this from a layman's perspective also. What happened this year, the Operation Sindoor, the recent, the Tejas misfortunate incident, the common man on the street wants to see the Indian Air Force winning. It wants to see that India and the Indian Air Force and its technology is the best among the best. Most of the technical points have already been covered by the defense experts here. My short point is that India should come out with a clear approach. We are saying since the last 1 decade that we are not in the era of non-alignment. We follow strategic autonomy. Then what is that strategic autonomy? Is there a blueprint on what is strategic autonomy? Of course, non-alignment was also not theorized. Nehru gave the idea of non-alignment, but Nehru was not an international relations professor. He was a Prime Minister of India, and that's why NAM could never be theorized. That is one of the biggest drawbacks of the Indian IR, as they say. Now the time has come for the international relations experts in India to theorize what exactly strategic autonomy means. Because every time when India deals with Russia or US, India is always in a fix whether to go this side or that side. My point is that if you don't have a theoretical base, then you're always going to flounder. People say these are theoretical things as if something this is very downtrodden. But I would say theories are very important. Theories are not meant to correspond to reality, they are meant to explain reality. They are self-explanatory statements, and that they were very key to any country's foreign policy approach. I am also saying this as a new departure, new shift in the India-Russia relations. Especially in Trump's presidency, India cannot find out whether Trump is actually cozying up to Putin, or Trump does not like Russia like the previous presidents. Because see, the thing is, in American politics, they are accusing Trump that he is really cozying up to Putin, and that's why Trump has so many critics. But when Trump comes to power, he wants India not to buy Russian oil. This is something which I cannot add 2 plus 2 as they say. So a lot of things are on the offer. That's my assertion.
Okay, good points there over there, Merton. And Group Captain Augustine, do you agree? Do you concur with what Merton had to say, that obviously India also has to navigate through these geopolitical quagmires, if I can call them, to have the strategic reliability on itself, as well as a very few chosen partners it has had since independence, including Russia?
See, we should not forget today where we are is on the mighty shoulders of the MiG-21s and Su-30s, which MiG-21s did the heavy lifting in yesteryears, and Su-30 is doing heavy lifting today. You can talk about Rafale, or you can talk about Mirage 2000 and such Western equipment that we have, but if you look at the numbers, they are woefully short of Su-30, woefully short of MiG-21 was. And that comes to the point which the previous speaker mentioned about. There is no fine print, and there is, I mean, I tweeted about it a month ago. There is no ifs and buts when you come to Russian technology, A. B, I go with what Wing Commander Sudhakaran said, we need it now. You know why we need it now, Vineet, which was not, probably due to paucity of time you didn't put across, is our friend in the western border is getting a stealth fighter from China. What happens then? Will that be the time we'll be scrambling for a stealth fighter with Russia? And like any good businessman, he will quadruple or triple the price, and we will still be forced to buy. Today is the time. Another important aspect we need to understand is, yes, war is there. You need to be one up with the enemy. But the artificial general intelligence, AGI, that he was referring to, in my opinion, in fact, I've written about it as well, Vineet, is the start of age of the machines. We have to be extremely, extremely careful. Though AGI is people are saying 2040, I would say about 2035, it should be here. Or I would also argue the large language models are already AGI capable. Be that as it may, Vineet, what happens when ASI is around the corner. Artificial superintelligence is around the corner. Artificial superintelligence is going to do much faster decisions, much clinical decision, much quicker action. Yeah, and human will be, will be something like a lodestone on around ASI's neck. What happens then? So world has to come together to look at how AGI, ASI, or artificial intelligence will play a role in war fighting. That is probably a discussion for another day. Today, we need Su-57. We need our technology, our radar, our weapons, our BrahMos, our Rudrams to go on to Su-57. Su-57 will become a very, very important platform. Our network centricity is already there in terms of IACCS. You saw what IACCS did in Op Sindoor. Many of the Trigun and other networks of Army and the Navy was riding on top of IACCS, taking the benefit of IACCS, and we are truly a net-centric warfare. And like Wing Commander said, the net centricity today is given. Interoperability today is a given, which we used to talk as something like a military revolution of sorts a decade ago, is a given today. Where do we go from here? remember, we need to be on the ladder of Moore's law. We cannot be, woefully falling short of the Moore's law. Then we'll get left behind as a country, as a military, as a nation, and as an economic power. So we need everything going hand in hand for us to claim the spot that we probably lost 150, 200 years ago when people invaded us. Over to you, Nate.
All right, fair enough. Well, we've run out of time. Appreciate the feedback and the perspective that we have obtained today from our guests. And of course, we will look forward to that visit by Vladimir Putin. The relationship between these two countries is not only historic, but it is also futuristic in terms of what the geopolitical realities are today and what a shift in these realities can bring about. We'll be right back.